it even lands on the slide that is intentionally confusing and is meant to cause confusion. When we are all flushed with the AI updates and news, new SDK in Claude for training agents, new format of the video in NotebookLM, and so on and so forth, and I probably missed something from the last few days. What do we feel, and what's the first question that comes to our mind? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for my job, for my project? Do we need to adjust something? Well, in this 5 minutes, I will not help you to cover all the ways how to cope with informational noise. Moreover, I will not give you a pill how to survive in this avalanche of information. But what I can offer you is the perspective of a different question. A different question you can add to your initial reaction. A question that is not focused on the tools, but on what the experience of using these tools mean. How does AI usage change our behavior? And when you start thinking and answering this question, that may lead you to understanding how behavior gets augmented, how people take different decisions, how they collaborate differently, how they get used to get immediate reply from any conversational search but not going to the colleague, and what does that mean? Are there more silos in the company, and so on and so forth? So this hypothesis will influence the way people prefer to learn because they get used to immediate answers, for example. And that in turn impacts our L&D decision making, whether we want or not. We all know adult learning theory, how that works, but we can't not face what people get used to. So in the leftover time, I would like you to join me on a thinking exercise. That's how the title works. A thinking exercise on figuring out how can we predict these changes and then translate into learning and actually future-proof our learning strategy. So if we start with the question, how does AI usage change the way we behave? We may end up with different hypotheses, and we're not going to go into deep behavioral patterns, just something on the surface like the drive for immediate replies, personalization is now kind of like a default expectation from everyone, the experimentation path is much shorter with the vibe coding and so on and so forth. And then my favorite part comes, how does this translate to the way people learn? Actually, learning has a very good track record of responding to technology. Like we just discussed, microlearning is a good response to people used to scrolling pattern in social media. So AI is not an exception. And we do see changes in learning products and the way people get around the usual learning formats that we still offer. And this leads us to the main part. What does that mean for learning strategy? And here I strongly advocate to not accommodate for these behavioral trends, but rather instead to actually think seek more for the solution in how to make decision making more informed, where awareness comes first, when we do not adjust to the behavioral patterns, but actually take informed decision into how learning design or strategy should evolve based on our observations. And this all causal relations that we were discussing, it all kind of reminds dog chasing the tail. And let's see what this thinking exercise was all about. Well, it was all about showing how the experience actually ends up on the table of learning and development, learning strategy. Users, our target audience, they use AI tools. They have experience that in turn triggers the way people work. That in turn causes the changes in the way people work, people learn, and that makes us to rethink learning strategy. How to own this circle, how to not blindly follow the tendencies, the trends, how to foresee where the behavior goes and what will happen to learning. Well, the two main factors, and I'll click immediately too because the first one is just covered, is the exercise, observation after yourself, and last but not least, use AI wisely in learning experience. Thank you.